My name is Tino Archuleta. So I came into prison in 2001. At that time, I was 21 years old. Prison was definitely a culture shock for me. It was the first time I had ever been to prison. So my first initial prison I went to was Calipatria. It was definitely a place that going to a level 4, being young, emotionally struggling to find myself, feeling very self-destructive feelings, I pretty much fell into the culture of prison at that time. So it was when my brother wrote me. At that point, I had been incarcerated 9 years. I was in the ad seg, and my brother wrote me from prison in Indiana. He was going to college in Purdue, and at that point, I realized how my life choices had affected somebody in my family. You know, for lack of a better term, it slapped me out of the stupidity in which I was living my life at that moment in time. You know, when you are doing things that are self-destructive and you are selfish and you are really not mindful of other people, and then all of a sudden you realize that your choices have affected those that you love most, it brings you to a point where then you have to begin that process of self-reflection. In 2011, I enrolled in the addiction studies program in Lancaster State Prison. I was trying to figure out for myself why I was addicted to drugs and the steps I needed to take to start correcting that behavior. At that point in time, I was addicted to heroin and methamphetamine. But one thing that I did was I used that course as a means to figure out for myself what I needed to do. So I used a lot of the exercises to share my own life story. So it was the first time that I was sharing my experience through correspondence with anybody. You know, my drug abuse, my emotional struggles, my inability to control and get sober. So it was definitely something that was life-changing, and that I was able to finally start getting some of the stuff out that I was holding so tightly to. I was half-stepping, like most people in their very early years of transition. You know, you're in that what I call conflict stage, right? Where you have that old self and then that new self is starting to develop. So I believe that there were some things that I can hold on to and still kind of do good. But very quickly I found out that that was not the case. I had to make a decision. And at that point, when I came to Lancaster, I just became an adult at that point. This was the closest I had been to home. So for me, it was like a new beginning. Like, okay, 14 years ago, I made very horrible choices that took me away from home. This is my first chance to be back and basically do something different this time. Make amends for what the choices I had made. There is so much a bigger reward of being able to be your own person and being able to separate that and being vulnerable and finding out that there's just as many people that want to see you do good, that want to hear your story, that want to see the growth and change in you. And Lancaster is a unique place in that our facility has the only detergent plant in the States. Through Prison Industry Authority, that was the beginning program for me that really started to show me that I was capable of building myself. With the pandemic, we were actually given a task to provide everybody with detergent and hand sanitizers. That became something that really helped all of us kind of focus our attention to doing something better during the pandemic. We've been able to start the AA program, in-class college program. We're working towards a communications degree. And hopefully, once we get enough guys to graduate with AAs, we could then start a BA program as well. Currently, I participate in yoga and meditation. It is a practice that I have found that is very self-soothing, right? It's kind of interesting to see all the guys go in there and, and struggle with yoga, but it's something that we're finding is a very good practice. I'm involved in Alcoholics Anonymous, the Actors Gang Prison Project, Healing Dialogue in Action, which is a victim awareness class that brings survivors of violent crimes in, and we hear their stories and the impact that it had on people's family. It's really life-changing. The more guys start going through the programs, and then you start talking about them on the yard, and people then want to start participating in them, you're starting to see that reverse effect of where we know at this point that when we commit a crime, it has that ripple effect. One thing that was very important for me to understand was that I had choices. You know, a lot of times we make a bunch of choices that put us in a position where we feel that our only choice is to act out, our only choice is to be violent, our only choice is to be this destructive person that we know. But just as simple as those choices are made to do that, you have the choice to be something better, you know. And every day when we get up, we have those little series of choices that we have to make. And you know, I'm just fortunate that I'm in a place where I'm making better choices today than I was when I was younger.